Hello and welcome to the city of Nantes. I'm Patrick Hughes and this is Planet Patrick. I'm Patrick Hughes and this is Planet Patrick. Hello from this glamorous car park in central Nantes. That's an ode to 19. A song of my youth. So, I've got 2 hours in Nantes. What am I going to do? Everybody say the following. Visit the Chateau des Ducs de Bretagne, the castle of the Dukes of Brittany. That's it. Behind the car. You're sitting on the car. Let me show you. You are on the car. You're sitting on top of Gary. It's quite rude of you, frankly. Anyway. The things to do in 2 hours. Chateau des Ducs de Bretagne. The chateau was made up of buildings from the 14th to the 18th century. It was a ducal residence, it was a barracks and a bunker during the German occupation during World War II. Bet you didn't know that. I didn't until I googled it. Near here is a place called the LU Tower, or Lou Tower. That is apparently a brand of biscuits. Aren't you glad I brought out the orange book for that? One other place we could visit is the Cathedral de Saint-Pierre et Saint-Paul, the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul. That took 500 years to construct, so it's bound to be good, right? It took so long. That contains 3 interesting things. We may not see them. We may. The tomb of Francis II, the last Duke of Brittany, a crypt, and a large organ. The Jardin des Plantes, the 4th largest botanical gardens in France. Who knew? We like a flower, we could visit that. Kervegan Street, La Rue de Kervegan. It's right in the centre of the gastronomic district. The architecture is supposed to be spectacular and comes from the 18th century. The Passage Pommerais, a beautiful glass passage built between 2 important areas of Nantes. A kind of glamorous shopping arcade built with a glass roof. They have those in London and Paris and Milan, if I remember correctly. So let's see what the Nantes one looks like. Yes, you say Nantes to mean of Nantes. Isn't that glamorous? Anyway, the orange book has done its work. There's lots of other things to do, but we've got 2 hours. And if I manage to squeeze in half of those things, that'll be fantastic. Off we pop. See you somewhere interesting. It looks very nice, to be honest. I think I've worn the perfect mask to suit this interior design. Raspberry dressing, I think. Oh wow. Merci à vous.
Ah, c'est dommage parce que ce poste-là, le Z, oui, c'est un poste intéressant. Tout ce qui est politique de classement, enfin, quelqu'un, en plus, elle est curieuse, sa culture. J'ai dit, mais rigole,
So how's that 2-hour plan working out, visiting Nantes? Well, hour number 1 spent on a leisurely lunch. It was delicious though. Let's go and see everything else super quickly. So this is the chateau, but I think this is its unglamorous side because there's no signage or any information going on here. Let's have a walk down this way where I think there's more information to be had. Allons-y. I think I'm supposed to be up there where the coat of arms is. Aha! This looks more like it. Looks like an entrance at least. A sunny one. I'm shooting into the sun, but factor 50. The coat of arms reads, "À ma vie, à ma vie, à ma vie." which seems to mean to my life. Oh, look at this. Wow. It's sensational, very impressive, isn't it? If you were one of the Dukes of Burgundy and bringing the King and Queen here, or important visitors, the Pope, what a dramatic place for them to ride into. It would certainly show your wealth. I'm willing to accept donations of large buildings. These trees behind me are called the Jardin de Bretagne. Anne was the famous Duchess of Brittany. But it's nice that they're still having some trees and a little garden for her. Okay, time for a quick fact check in Anne's garden. So, Anne was Duchess of Brittany and twice the Queen of France. She was born in January 1477. People born in January are great people. And she was Duchess here from 1488 until her death, and Queen Consort of France from 1491 to 1498, and then from 1499 to her death. Her death was 1514, so you can recall that. She was also Queen Consort of Naples from 1501 to 1504, and Duchess Consort of Milan for a short period. I mean, she had a lot of titles. She was kind of in charge. Her spouses were, yes, I said spouses, were Maximilian I, who was the Holy Roman Emperor. She married him in 1490, and that was annulled in 1492. Early divorce people. She then married Charles VIII of France. She married him in 1491. Hold on, there was an overlap with Maximilian. What you gonna do? He died in 1498, and then she married Louis XII of France. So I'm not saying she got around, but she certainly was a high-born person who got married off to a whole load of people. And there's a lot more to learn really about her if you're into that. But for now, we're going to move on and see what else there is to see. Just to mention, it's about 4,000 degrees in here. It's a bit of a sun trap. And I should have brought my sunglasses. Yes, they're in Gary. This is the large hat stand of the original Dukes. Or something else, I don't know. There's large kind of cable things going on up there, which probably had ropes on them for bringing up buckets of water to feed the horses, something like that. But it looks like a hat stand, or a bird cage. I'm trying to make something out of that and failing. It's always disconcerting when a giant aeroplane goes overhead. So close. That's not what I was expecting. I know. These are, as far as I can tell, kind of old oil cans or petrol cans. But when you look at them from afar, they look like sighing faces. This sighing face needs to move out of this heat. This is the famous alleyway of St. Bridie of the Rushes, where St. Bridie first had to rush through. I don't name these things, people. This is, as far as I can tell, a statue of Anne looking away from me. It's without any marking, so let's make it about Anne, right? It is Anne. Merci, Anne. According to Google Maps, the cathedral of this wonderful city of Nantes, dedicated to Saints Peter and Paul, which took 500 years to construct, is under construction. So that means that we can't go in. On the positive side, since we only had an hour to do most things, we can carry on. We have a chance of doing those other things. Joyfully though, there is here-ish a little train for taking kids around the centre of Nantes. Isn't that charming? I love a little train. And this sign explains why. The cathedral underwent a fire on the 18th of July 2020. Fire broke out in 3 places, it says, causing considerable damage inside the monument. Oh no, there was total destruction of the great organ, weakening of the stonework and stained glass in the nave. an explosion of the west stained glass window, which must have been a famous one, and the destruction of the painting of Saint Clare healing the blind by Hippolyte Flandrin. So it underwent an awful lot of dramatic damage. And as you can see, this man wearing a spacesuit and a large beard is shining a light on some of the destructive things. Very upsetting for him. Here's somebody knocking a gargoyle on the head with a hammer, and somebody working out why they had to put on white covers on their boots. It's very upsetting. Next stop, let's go! This looks fascinating. Let's have a squeeze. Sometimes you think you're going to see 4 or 5 particular things in a city, and then you walk around a corner, and then a big yoke like that, a big boat, is sitting in the middle of a fountain. There was no mention of that on the list. So this place was on my list, Le Passage Pommerais. Let's go and have a look at it. It looks fancy. This place is absolutely jam-a-rammed, but we're in the centre of a city, so you'd expect that. These steps, if you can see the ironwork up here, remind me a lot of the Tour Eiffel of the Eiffel Tower. It was also the noisiest child I've ever heard in my life. This perhaps gives the best view of the fabulous glass roof. Before this was just a through street, but they turned it into this wonderful shopping arcade. I'm not sure that people are buying very much in the shops. They're certainly very colourful. And yes, I've turned into that guy with the enormous selfie stick. This is about 6 feet long. I think people are used to the weirdness. Oh, well, that was another stop on the road. What else is there to see in the hour? There's not much left. Sail, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing. Onward the eagle flies. I don't know if those are the right words. So we did a temporary stop off at this little camera shop, which seems to have everything else except camera batteries. He looked everywhere, like not hard, but like he looked at a wall. So that's the thing, right? I need to buy some camera batteries, but here's the thing, kids, with regard to Northern Ireland, you can't buy them anymore off Amazon or get them shipped to Northern Ireland from GB. So that means buying them in a very expensive location or buying them whenever you can find them. So that's what I was trying to do with this little magasin de caméras. Anyway, onwards. So this is Rue Kervegan in all of its 18th century architectural prowess. Beautiful buildings that all seem to be on a slight tilt. But gorgeous kind of ironwork, balconies, little streets off it. And it's quite quiet. It seems to be maybe a formerly glamorous part of town. It's not rough. There's a couple of money agency places, maybe a couple of hostels, that kind of thing. But if this is one of the top 5 things to do in Nantes, perhaps it could do with being spruced a little. Anyway, let's have a look at some close-ups to music. One of the lovely things about just wandering around is not only kind of the vibrance of the city, but the fact that there's lots of open green spaces in the center of the city where kids and adults can play football or sit out in the sun and enjoy themselves. It's really nice. It's a great facility. That over there is the Lou Tower, which relates to the biscuit brand. Now, I think if you're maybe French or in a country where those biscuits are sold, that might be of interest to you. I don't particularly know them, so I think it's an interesting building though. It's as if you can feel a little cool breeze of relaxation waving over you as you walk through these gates and past that lovely terrace. That looks nice if you were staying here for a small beveranda and some tapas. Anyway, this is the Jardin des Plantes, the garden of the plants, or the botanical gardens. I did think it would be empty, but you know me, I seem to pick places that are absolutely chock full of people. But that's because they're on the top 5 things to do in Nantes. So here we are. Is this some kind of thistle? I think my friend Lindsay might have some idea. Perhaps it's a French cousin to the thistle. And so I end my little tour of Nantes just as I run out of battery, beside this lovely little waterfall cascade drama that's going into this lovely lake here. It's lovely. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Planet Patrick. I hope you'll join me again for the next one. In the meantime, take care and all the best. Bye bye.
Through this wee archway. Oh, look at that.
So we'll put you in mind of Iceland. Little bemuses the innocent. Are we still here? Roll credits. I'm Patrick Hughes and this is Planet Patrick.